What's up, ladies and gentlemen? Universal Mastery. What I do here is I break down the occult sciences to a very practical level so that you can use them and apply them in your day-to-day life and get real, actual results, okay? Now, first thing first, what I am is I am a professional occultist who is fully initiated in Kabbalah, being the top of the tree and the bottom. I am studied with astrology, and I am also studied with the tarot, the archetypal tarot that connects right back to Kabbalah. That's just to give you a little bit of clarity on who I am as a person, just so you know who you're getting this information from. My name is Venmo Schwartz. I don't know if I mentioned that. So what I want to be covering in today's video is something that I think is going to be very valuable for, my viewers. I think is going to be very valuable for someone who is intending to want to know what it is that I'm sharing in today's video. So there's obviously going to be people that have never seen my channel before and just happen to stumble across my channel just to hear this message because it's that important of a message. So what I'm going to be talking about is how and why I've been successful in my occult practices and through my entire Kabbalistic initiation, especially going through the darker side of Kabbalah, because obviously for those of you that are aware, that is not an easy system of initiation. There is a lot of potential danger going into that, and you have to make sure you have the right kind of starting basis to really make it through. And when I say starting basis, I mean that the right ideas, the right intent, specifically a connection to evolution, which is a connection to source. You need to make sure you have these things, and obviously I did, and I do, and that's why I was successful. So I'm pretty much going to be breaking down what it took, what kind of mindset it takes to be successful when it comes to real, authentic, deep occult practices and to develop real occult power. Okay, what kind of mindset does it take? What kind of experiences will you come across? What kind of person do you have to be in order to go through those life-transforming experiences and gain the benefit from them? Okay, so if this is something that you're interested in, then definitely stay tuned for the rest of the video. Okay, so jumping right in, so this is the thing. Right off the rip, I want to say that when it comes to occult practices, specifically when you're getting deeper into it, when it comes to initiations, with the darker side of Kabbalah, which is it is the most powerful form of Kabbalah and of spiritual self-development. Once again, Kabbalah is based off Egyptian technology. The Jews pretty much just structured it in a way and tried to claim it as their own knowledge, but they did very well in structuring it and making sure, you have all the different layers and pieces that you need to understand how spiritual evolution and power works and flows through the human body and the mind and all those things. But it is much more ancient than just the Jewish Kabbalistic system. Just to give you that understanding, a lot of it is coming from the ancient Egyptian knowledge and texts that is not necessarily public, because we live in an age where there is suppression of knowledge, and obviously the age we're moving into, it's becoming less and less and less. And if you have awareness or even psychic awareness, you're starting to pick up on that. But yeah, so going into the purpose of this video, once again, what do you need to embody in order to be successful with your occult self-development, with your real integration and alchemy of very powerful forces of nature? So one thing that I need to start with, and I want to make sure this is structured, and I want to make sure it's practical, so that whoever's listening to this, you're going to be able to walk away with some important knowledge and understanding. The first thing that you need to know is you need to have a warrior spirit. Okay, that's first and foremost. Now, the warrior spirit is the spirit within yourself that doesn't give up. okay? A warrior is willing to go to war, and a warrior is also willing to die, okay? That's a fact, okay? The warrior spirit says, I am going to aim for this, and I will not stop until I achieve what I set out to achieve, unless the direction changes as I'm on that journey. But the moral of the story when it comes to the warrior, and the moral of that archetype, is the warrior always aims for something and does not stop on that journey. Will literally go till death if need be. That is the first embodiment that you need to have if you plan on being successful with any form of occult, gaining occult power, especially if you're talking about gaining real occult power, meaning you're able to cause mass collective changes in the society that we live in and also around the earth, okay? Being able to tap into the earth energies of the quantum wave function in regards to the science behind how the occult is actually working. So that's key. You need to have that spirit, because the reality is yes, you are going to, on your journey, when you start to do astral travel, when you start to find yourself in an initiatory place of development. And what I mean by that is, you'll notice when you start doing invocations, when you start taking your practice serious, you start realizing certain things start manifesting in your day-to-day life that present certain challenges. This is not a path of just, everything gets uncovered to you, it's all smooth sailing. This is a path of going through a lot of pressure to become a diamond and really come out with a lot of power, potentially, if you make it through. So the reality is, as I'm saying, you're going to come across challenges, right? When you want to develop your source connection, when you want to develop your power, and you want to reach your highest potential, when you set out to do that, your life gets harder, okay? I want you guys to understand this, ladies and gentlemen who are watching. Your life is going to get harder. It is not going to get easier. Whoever told you it's going to get easier, they lied to you. Things will make more sense. You will have a better understanding. You'll have more wisdom, and you'll have more knowledge, which once integrated can then make your life easier. But the initial beginning stages of your own spiritual self-development and diving into the deeper aspects of the self and the deeper aspects of the occult energetic system that exists in regards to really reaching your highest potential, really getting in touch with your own spirit, and connecting with source, once again, connecting with evolution. When you're on that path, your life does get harder at first, because it's trying to form you, once again, into the right state of mind so that you can be powerful, okay? It's that simple. So the warrior spirit is absolutely essential in the beginning of any type of occult initiation, in the beginning of starting your first invocations, doing anything occult, anything secretive, any rituals, any invocations. I would highly recommend that before you do any of that, embody the warrior spirit. Find things in your day-to-day life that force you or cause you or set you up to have to be disciplined, okay? Because you're going to have to develop the warrior spirit, because once again, you will come across challenges that are going to really shake you up, okay? There's going to be things that will come across your path that you will have never seen before, and you need to have that spirit to recognize that no matter what happens to you, everything in its totality is also happening for you. So even if something very negative happens to you, it's actually meant to thrust you into further self-development, okay? It's meant for you to evolve even further, and that's how you have to view things, and that's how a warrior views things. Remember, a warrior will go into battle and will fight till death, okay? The warrior doesn't stop fighting until death happens. And for the warriors that can embody that to the highest degree tend to live, okay? They may come close to death, but because they have such a warrior spirit, the willingness to die, the willingness that says if they die, then they die, they tend to actually survive because they have that spirit. And the last thing that they're going to do is surrender. The last thing that they're going to do is be a victim. They're going in as the aggressor. They're going in as, you don't look for me, I look for you. Okay, that's that mindset, and this is a fact. So that's the first thing. Okay, the second thing that you need to develop. Okay, and I definitely have this aspect to me. Okay, when it comes to the warrior spirit, when it comes to everything I'm mentioning, obviously in this video, this is coming from me, right? This is coming from stuff that I am. Okay, I'm sharing this with you, giving you an idea of my own spirit. Okay, this is something that is common. This is an archetypal energy that possesses every person that is successful in their occult practices. And when I say successful, I mean really successful. People that have actually worked through the entire tree of death, the Kabbalistic tree, and have developed themselves through the darker aspects of evolution and have gained power and have come out on the other side as balanced beings that, once again, have a lot more power than the average person and a lot more understanding and knowledge and wisdom, things of that nature. So the next principle you need to understand is ruthlessness. Okay, this principle is mentioned in a book by Carlos Castaneda, two books specifically. One, the Fire from Within, which I highly recommend. You can literally find it on YouTube for free, audiobook. And then The Power of Silence. Both of these books mention the principle of ruthlessness. And once again, this was something that I was applying before I've read these books. I actually recently read these books. Like, I've been on the journey for a while now, and I just came across these books, and sure enough, it's explaining what I've already been applying. So I thought that was very fascinating. But the principle of ruthlessness is the willingness, the readiness, and the always ability to be ruthless. So that means that when something comes across your path that is presenting, let's say, for example, a challenge or something that is crossing boundaries with you, there is no moral that comes into play that says, hey, maybe I should give them a second chance. Okay, hey, maybe they just felt this way and maybe that's why they treated me like this. Okay, maybe that's not their real intention. Maybe they're just trying to look out for themselves and they just screwed me over because they were just looking out for themselves. That's not being ruthless. Being ruthless is someone screws you over, they're done. Okay, and I'm not saying not to forgive people. I'm not saying to not give people second chances. Obviously, you want to be balanced. You want to really trust your intuition. And that plays into being ruthless. If your intuition is telling you, if your gut is telling you that someone is taking advantage of you, or if your gut is telling you that this person is bad, this person is not in alignment with your true self, or this person is presenting to be an enemy, being ruthless is acting on that intuition. So for example, during my journey through the Kabbalistic tree, I've come across so many people, I can't even do it with hands, that were challengers for me. They became enemies. And I'll tell you this about myself. On one end, I've done and I've seen things that I will never explain to you. Okay, I've done and I've seen things that are beyond what any of you are going to understand, even if I said it. Okay, and it can go that deep. Okay, that's why you need to have a warrior spirit, and it's not for the weak, right? Getting into the occult, especially for initiatory purposes of real self-development, is not for the weak. Okay, you will get weeded out, you will not make it through, you'll probably get addicted to drugs, you'll lose your mind, something will happen and it will flesh you out. There's obviously going to be people that always do that, and it just is what it is. But I'm just saying, I'm giving you the real answers here. I'm giving you the real truth behind the occult and how to be successful with it. And once again, connecting back to my own personal path, I have come across many situations, many circumstances where it required me, my spirit required me to fully embody my ruthlessness. And basically, long story short, what that means is that I've had enemies in my path. I've always dealt with enemies, and I had to get okay, and I had to be ready. I had to be willing, and I had to be able to take care of all of my enemies. And when I say take care of all of my enemies, I hope you understand what I'm saying. Apply psychic force to prevent that from going any further. And I will say this for a fact, I have not missed a target. Every single person that has presented a threat towards me, I don't go looking out for threats. I'm not trying to cause anything. I'm not being overly chaotic to then cause myself to have an enemy. That's not my intent. But every time there was a chaotic being that has presented a challenge to me on my path, I have eliminated that person or that enemy that presents that obvious challenge to me. And as I said, every single one has lost major amounts of life force. Let's just put it that way. And that is something that you will have to get comfortable with when you start walking down this path, because this is something that is really not talked about. This is something that is covered up by the New Age, with the tree hugging, with the light working, the love, and all that stuff. You know, and it's, the reality is that when you're getting into occult practices, you need to have an ability to use your psychic power to defend yourself. You need to have an ability to be ruthless towards other beings, other spiritual beings that are presenting a harm, or that are presenting harm to you. So for example, if there's a person that comes in my path, and they're presenting a challenge to me, like not a challenge as in like, oh, let me overcome this and I'll move on. That happens all the time. I mean a challenge that says, hey, look, I'm in your face. I'm crossing a boundary with you. The fuck are you gonna do about it, pussy? Right? That kind of challenge. When someone presents a challenge like that to me, I have to understand that I'm not just dealing with a human being, right? This is how I operate. I understand I'm dealing with an energy. I'm dealing with a chaotic spirit that is possessing this person, right? Because if I'm focused on my path, right? If I'm focused on my own journey, my own evolution, and someone presents such a challenge like that to me, in my mind, you're just asking to be eliminated. In my mind, and this may be because I don't know, this may be because I'm dark or something. This may be because I'm more inclined towards darkness. But in my mind, when someone presents a challenge like that to me, when I'm on my journey and I'm doing my thing, I'm hearing them say, oh, I am possessed by this chaotic energy. Can you please end it so that it can't possess me anymore? And the reality is, if we're going to get deep, if we're going to get like interdimensional with this, there are parasitic energies that will latch on to people that are chaotic in nature, that feed off of their life force by latching onto them. And that also connects back to other planets. This video is not going to be about that, but just I have the awareness, I have the knowledge of that, so I apply that in my practices. So I have that awareness. So I know when I'm dealing with somebody that's presenting that kind of challenge with me, I'm not really dealing with that person. I'm dealing with an energy that's possessing the person. So I will be completely ruthless towards that energy that possesses the person. Now it depends if I handle that energy, if I send let's just say spirits to go and put an end to that, if I perform a ritual, if I do any form of if I use any form of defense or offense or magic attack, if I do anything, I'm sending it to destroy that chaotic spirit or that chaotic entity or that parasite. That's what I'm trying to destroy. That's what I'm aiming for. Now, if I'm sending that energy to someone and that person identifies everything they have with that parasite or with that chaotic energy and they can't let go of that, which is very common, this happens all the time, then that person will go down with the parasite. So if I kill a parasitic entity or a parasitic spirit on a person and they can't let go of it, then you do the math. 2 + 2 = 4. Okay? Now, if they can let go of it, if they can understand that they made a wrong decision, and they went in the wrong direction, depending on how much I like you, because obviously if I really don't like you, if you harm one of my loved ones, if you presented a really deep threat to me, yeah, those two things, If I really don't like you, then I'll make sure you never have a chance to get out of it. I'll make sure you're trapped. I'll make sure you suffer for the rest of your life. I'll make sure you're done. There is no way that you're going to be able to get out of the prison that I'm about to put you in. And I'll make sure that the prison I put you in drains you for every single thing that you had and have that was good to you or good for you. I will make sure it specifically targets those things so that that can come directly back to me, and that you'll be left as this blank slate of nothingness in the abyss, naked with nothing and no chance of getting out of it. Being stuck, you could almost think of like in a black cube or something. Okay, and that's what I'm explaining to you. The reason why I'm explaining this is because this is what being ruthless is. Okay, this is a key aspect of being successful in the occult. Obviously, I'm very ruthless. Okay, the way I'm speaking, the things I've done, the mindset I have, this is very ruthless. This is a great example of what ruthlessness is. I understand there's other people that are not like that, okay? You don't need to be as ruthless as I am, but you need to have the idea of what ruthlessness is, and you need to adopt your own level of ruthlessness to yourself if you want to be successful. Once again, I have no problem taking care of anyone that presents a challenge to me that goes against my evolution. I have no problem, and I will go to lengths to eliminate that. And just my being, my spirit, whatever's in me is ruthless, okay? And I have to abide by that. I have to integrate that within myself, because that is a big part of my power. For those of you that don't know, my last name is Schwartz, which is German for black. So I have a lot of that dark energy in me. It's just a part of my spirit. And once again, not everyone has that, so you don't need to necessarily be like me, but you need to adopt a level of ruthlessness. And obviously, the way I'm explaining this, you should have a very clear idea of what that means, ruthlessness. Okay, so that is definitely necessary. Okay, those two principles, you need to be able to understand that when you go down your occult journey, your spiritual journey of self-development, that there are entities, there are spirits that do not want you to evolve. Okay, this is a fact. And it's not to be scared, okay? You remember, the warrior spirit has to come first. It has nothing to do with freaking out about it, or oh my God, this is so creepy, I don't like it, whatever. It has nothing to do with that. All of this is geared and ordained, or all of this is encompassed behind source, okay? So all of this craziness, all this chaos is governed by source, right? So source is evolution, as I always mention. So although there may be spirits that show up in real people that try to challenge you and try to prevent you from moving forward on your path, that is meant to help you move forward. So one of the beautiful things about understanding the warrior spirit and being ruthless, and understanding the Qliphoth, specifically the darker side of evolution, is that it's actually necessary to destroy your enemies, okay? This is why when it comes to the religion Islam, that's the one thing I really agree with it, is that they had Muhammad, who was ruthless to his enemies. He slaughtered all his enemies. And he had a whole bunch of wives, and he was rich, right? But then you have Christianity, and all Jesus's disciples turned on him and crucified him. And then you have Buddha, who sat by a tree, had all the knowledge and shared it, and then he was poisoned. So obviously there's some energetic symbolism behind Muhammad being ruthless, slaughtering all his enemies, and having riches and having everything he ever wanted in life. And this is a real energetic principle that I'm trying to explain. When you eliminate your enemies, you're using chaos on chaos. Okay, chaotic energy is to be ruthless, right? It's to recognize that something is preventing a stop or a challenge in regards to your own evolution, trying to stop you. I'm not talking about being ruthless to someone who cuts you off on the street necessarily. I'm not telling you to go out and psychically try and harm a person that cuts you off in the street, or may piss you off because they said something that triggered you. I'm talking about people that are actually presenting a real life challenge to you in the intention of, hey, I'm gonna try and stop you from moving forward. You may see this happen in your jobs, if you have a job. You may see this happen in your family. You may see this happen within your friend groups, things of that nature. These people will show up when you start down this spiritual journey, this spiritual path. So once again, one thing you have to understand is that to move forward, you have to take care of your enemies. You have to take care of your challengers. And that, when I say that, I'm not talking physically. I hope that's understood by now. I'm not talking physically. I'm not saying like do anything physical. Do not harm people physically. If that's something you want to do, then get into martial arts or something of that nature, which I definitely recommend. I did martial arts too for a little bit to develop my warrior spirit as well. But I'm talking about psychically. I'm talking about in regards to the quantum wave function. I'm talking about in regards to how to move energy with your intention, things in that nature. So definitely take what I'm saying and try to understand it. And just realize that when you use chaos to destroy chaos, you're actually presenting, or I should say, you're actually opening up a pathway for yourself to get further to source. So obviously the whole purpose of spiritual self-development is to link with source, right? You want to link with evolution itself so that you can always be in alignment with what's in your best interest, and that your ego doesn't run you. Your chaotic aspect of self doesn't run you. You always want to be in touch with evolution, because evolution will bring you all the beautiful things in life, all the authentic things. So when you're using chaos on chaos, when you're using the ability to destroy your enemies that are going against your source evolution, you're actually opening up a doorway that connects you even more with source, and it's going to provide you more energy, because every enemy you destroy then comes back to you. That's just how it works. And you get closer on your evolutionary journey. So actually, in regards to the Cliffothic initiations, it gets dark, and I'm not trying to sugarcoat it. It really gets dark. You will find yourself doing things and seeing things that are very dark. Once again, there's many things that I've done. There's many things that I've seen. And there's many things that I will do in my future that none of you will ever know about. Okay, ever. And it gets to that level where I would never explain that. Okay, I would never explain it to anybody, even my closest friends, because it's not for anybody. It's for myself. It's for my own spirit. It's for my own understanding. But the message I'm trying to relay here is that you will have those situations happen on your journey where you may question, like, holy shit, is this okay? Am I supposed to be doing this, or am I supposed to be thinking this, or should I act on this? And once again, you have to follow your spirit. You have to go with your spirit. So that's where I'm going to leave it. I think these principles are essential, and I know that there's going to be people that listen to this and you're really going to take it for granted. And once again, this video wasn't meant to deter you from going down your own occult spiritual journey, or to deter you from like any form of Kabbalistic initiation, especially the Cliff-Off. This was just to give you a heads up on what to experience. But I do want to make it clear that when you go down this path and you really start to develop yourself, you will reach levels of power that cannot be touched. And there's no other system, there's nothing else that can give you that same level of power. And it will all be worth it. But it is a challenge getting to that level of awareness, okay? So that's what I'm gonna leave it at. Other than that, let's keep it there. Definitely hit the like button. It's going to be right there. Also hit the notification bell, because I post videos as often as I can, and hit the subscribe button, because I love to see my subscribers go all the way through the roof. And then first thing I want to say is definitely check out my Patreon. On my Patreon, I have exclusive content. The link is going to be right in the description. It's literally the first link at the top. It says my Patreon right next to it. On my Patreon, I have exclusive content, as I said. Some of that content is going to be geared towards actual spiritual practices that I perform on camera. For example, how to do an invocation, which calls on an external spiritual intelligence and channels it to yourself so that you can take on all of that spirit's power. Okay, now what that does is that improves your psychic senses, that improves your psychic power, and that improves your psychic protection. And there's two major techniques that you need to know on how to do that, which involves a sigil and involves a mantra. Okay, and I go into depth in my video on Patreon where I perform one myself so you can see it be done, and then I teach you how to do it yourself so that you can do it successfully. Okay. Then the next thing I'd like to say is if you are interested in learning about Kabbalah and how the whole Kabbalistic system works in regards to initiation and potentially figure out where you are in your own spiritual journey, then I can't recommend enough my Patreon, because I break down all of the spheres in regard to the Sephiroth and in regards to the Qliphoth, which is the tree of life, and then the tree of death. And I break down all the symbolism. I give you the spirits that are associated with these spheres. And then after I break down all of that, I give you my own experience personally of what I went through traveling and initiating through those spheres myself. Okay, and I really don't know anybody that has video content that's breaking that stuff down, so I think that's very valuable. I definitely would have 100% loved to have taken advantage of that if that was available when I was going through my initiations, but once again, I don't know anybody else that's done that. So if that's something you're interested in, definitely check out the Patreon. Now, in order to gain access to these exclusive videos, you have to at least be a Tier 2 member or up. In order to be a Tier 2, it costs $9.95 a month. And if you do the math, that literally will come out to less than $1 a day. So there is absolutely no reason why you shouldn't be able to afford that, especially with the value that's on there. And that is a fact from me to you. Okay, there's 4 tiers altogether. As you go up in tiers, the benefits increase. I would love, with that being said, to shout out the highest tier members of the Patreon. Their names are going to be mentioned right below that Patreon link. So let's just take a moment. Huge shout out to you, ladies and gentlemen. I highly appreciate you. Okay, now I'd love to give another shout out to all of my Patreon members. I appreciate all of you as well. And then shout out to all of my YouTube followers. I appreciate all of you as well. Next thing I want to say, this is the last thing, is check out my second link. It's going to say Square Appointments. If you would like to book a tarot reading with me, where I break down the reading from present, near future, long-term future. And pretty much what I do is I break down the cards in a very subjective way, which means I'm also telling you what my spirit is telling me to tell you, and I'm giving it to you straight. And the whole goal of getting the reading is to figure out where you're at in your own spiritual journey. Okay, I can literally connect it right back to Kabbalah. Literally for every reading I've done so far, I've been able to connect it back to Kabbalah, which has been blowing my mind, very fascinating. I've been learning a lot from it too. So yeah, so if you want to know where you're at in your own spiritual journey, I would definitely recommend booking a tarot reading. What I do is I do the reading by myself. Then when I finish, I break down the entire reading on my phone and I send you your own individualized personal video of the entire reading and everything it means. And the only thing that I request is your feedback at the end of the video. And so far, all the feedback has been 100% amazing. That's a fact too. I have all the feedback on my phone. So yeah, so other than that, that's going to wrap it up. Once again, if you want to book a card reading with me, that is going to be the second link below. Go and check that out. I'm going to leave it there. Ladies and gentlemen, I hope you have a wonderful rest of the day or night, wherever you are, and I will see you on the next video. Peace.